Alan Ryman, thank you for spending a few minutes to talk with us. The first thing I wanted to ask you is if you were talking to me as a starter researcher at the beginning of my research project, I'm about to design my first project, what would be the best advice you think you could give me as a beginner?
I think there are two or three things. I think one of the most important things is to make sure you've developed a good general knowledge of research methods. I think one of the problems that many early researchers fall into is developing an all too quick familiarity with just one or two methodological approaches, and not looking at the range of methods, analytical approaches and so on that are available to them. And it means that they're not really taking into account the full range of possibilities, but rather going for something that perhaps initially feels right to them. So my advice is get a good general understanding of methodology. And the second thing I would say, and this is a recurring theme of mine, is to make sure you read lots of examples of good published research. I'm a great fan of examples and exemplars because I think you learn a huge amount by reading good research. I personally never did a methods course. The first time I had any contact with methods was when I had to teach it. And I learnt a huge amount by just reading a lot of research, surveys, participant observation studies and so on, and looking at how good research was designed, how it was analysed and so on.
So that's not really a learning by doing approach. You're saying that it's important to know the field before you start to learn by doing.
Yeah, I do think that actually, because unless you're going to get yourself connected to a research project at an early stage, and I did have that advantage, I have to say, then I think it's very difficult to get into a thoroughgoing understanding of methodology in all its complexity and all its diversity, and to make therefore informed choices unless you've gone through that process.
Right, okay. When you survey changes in research methods in recent years, what do you find is really exciting at the moment?
I think there are again two things that I draw attention to. Is one is the surge of interest in mixed methods research is very, very striking. I mean, when I first started getting into this area about 20 years ago, there was relatively little interest. And when I was trying to think about mixed methods, I was really scratching around for good examples. Now you virtually fall over them as soon as you open a journal. And mixed methods research has become a big area. It's often referred to nowadays as a movement. And that's really quite exciting. I worry slightly about the possibility that it's developing into a ghetto. But on the other hand, it is hugely exciting as people consider the ranges of possibilities that mixed methods as an approach offers. I think the other thing that excites me is that I continue to be impressed with the diversity of approach that qualitative researchers come up with. And I think, to me, that's exemplified by something like the Sage Handbook of Qualitative Research, actually, the collection there, which not only gets bigger from volume to volume, but actually changes from volume to volume, because it just strikes me as a particularly innovative area at the moment, as new ideas, new approaches are developed.
Great. Is there anything on the flip side of that worries you when you survey methodological developments?
I think the issue of ghettos worries me. It does worry me that many researchers see themselves as exclusively quantitative or exclusively qualitative researchers, and that worries me about mixed methods as well, you know, that it has a journal, it has a handbook, it has a conference, etc., etc., you know, and it worries me that methodologists and researchers can end up in these ghettos and not consider, you know, the theme that I've mentioned a couple of times now, that they're not considering the whole range of possibilities. It worries me that, particularly in the UK, we've been really good at developing qualitative research in the UK, and I think it's something which we've excelled, but it does worry me that there is often a lack of familiarity with quantitative research. Quantitative research does offer huge possibilities to people. They're often amazed at what you can do with quantitative data. And the lack of familiarity means that there's sometimes a tendency to talk about quantitative research and researchers in rather caricatured, stereotypical ways, and that does disconcert me.
It's this idea that they're always positive.
Exactly, yeah. And I do worry slightly about the possibility, and I've just been talking about this in a workshop just now at the conference. I do worry about the possibility that qualitative research, which I see as hugely innovative and imaginative in its style, could end up becoming a bit too formalised. You know, because there's this emphasis from government on impact, on demonstrating impact. There's this emphasis on conforming to natural science that you're getting with bush science in the USA. And there's this current quest for the application of quality criteria, which could, I think, it's a good thing because it helps to highlight what good practice is, but if it's applied too rigorously or too vigorously, maybe, then it could be detrimental to that innovativeness.
Sure. Alan Blyman, thank you very much.